I don't know when. That'll generate more.
Shut down town. There was the,
Sure.
See what we had is approving the minutes from that meeting back in here.
Roll,
And then currently the rest of the.
roll and
Yeah.
pledge allegiance,
Pledge.
little Robert's roll.
I
Keep it informal. No problem, I'll be happy to help out.
Thank you, Roy.
I don't think so.
No.
We do not.
Okay, hey guys.
That was disgusting.
Can you guys all shift down? Can you guys shift down a little bit? He needs to get you in the
Oh,
frame,
okay.
in the frame. Sorry about that.
Who am I now? Change it to mayor.
All right, I'm the mayor,
Is that better?
mayor for life.
Get everybody in. Thank you.
Are we waiting for any,
Go. You on the live now?
Do I need to go down?
Huh?
Do I need to go down?
He's back in there. So we'll go ahead,
call, do pledge allegiance, then call roll?
Roll and then we'll get it.
All right.
United States. Republic.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order and take a roll call. I'm just going to read the names. Are there any new names from members present on July 12th? Okay. And Charles Peters not here, right?
Chuck's not here. Right.
All right. Kels Barrett,
President.
Sasha DeCooker, Gary Huntley.
Here.
I'm here. Bob Schrade.
Here.
And Rodney Sparks.
I'm present.
We have a quorum.
Okay. All righty. I think next in order is the review of the meeting minutes of July 20, 2023. What are the rules on that? If you are not present, then
You probably should not.
you should abstain.
That's correct. And I apologize. I don't know. I'm just looking through these and I couldn't find any thing that showed that we actually approved these minutes. So I wanted to get before you tonight so we can
Okay.
make it official.
That's fine. I'll give you a few minutes to review these minutes. It's 8 after, so I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to look at it. If there are any changes, please raise your hand and state what your concerns are.
I don't know, we've had a meeting since this.
No.
That's why it hasn't been approved.
Happy New Year, gentlemen. Happy New Year.
Been a while. That's
Have about
interesting.
a couple holidays we could.
I motion to approve the minutes if everybody's on the same page.
Everybody's read and seen what they need to see. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All vote yes to approve.
Yes.
Okay. Any nays? No nays. These minutes are approved.
All right, so at this point, I think we want to turn it over to Kurt. Kurt, I got Jared here to kind of give a little background about why we're doing the historic preservation regulations.
I'm sorry, say again.
Jared's here to talk about the historic preservation
Would
regulations.
you like Jared to go first then, or?
Yeah, I just wanted here to kind of explain why the city's doing this, give them some background, and then you can.
Yeah, I don't have much to say, so
Okay,
we'll let Jared.
Jared, and also we have Haley Parnell, right, from Link NKY here. If everybody's wondering who our other audience member is. So, Jared, would you kind of just tell the commission why we did this and what our purpose is in bringing this before them? What's that? It might be helpful because I know that it's hard to hear if you're not on the mic.
Front and center.
The board that's in charge of enforcing these guidelines is the Board of Architectural Review. I've been meeting with them for over a year now. We utilize Covington's and Bellevue's guidelines and kind of use those as a framework to propose the new guidelines that you have in front of you or that were sent to you. I'm not sure how you got them, but we utilize those two cities that have longstanding historic districts, and then went through each section, each line, and thought what was best for Dayton and went with that. The reason why this was all kind of started was the board has very vague guidelines, so it's kind of based on their expertise what decisions they're going to make. But this would allow property owners to see in black and white what they can and cannot do and what they should and should not do. And then it gives the opportunity for newer board members to come on, and then they will have a packet that essentially says what they are and are not allowed to do.
So, I know we get a couple new members that have not been on board too long. Our historic district is an overlay zone, and it runs on 6th Avenue, I think, from McKinney, where Brusky's is down. I think it goes to Maine, I believe.
It's from O'Fallon to Maine.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
confused.
You're thinking of
confused.
Central Business
District.
District, yeah.
It runs from O'Fallon all the way down 6th. Is it into Maine? Is that where it ends?
Yes.
Okay. And it's both sides. It's both the north and south side of those businesses and houses that are fronting on that street. So, yeah, I'm sorry. It runs
And
all the way.
there's a couple on the side streets as well. I mean, we always send out whenever there's a new resident or something, we send them a packet showing them, hey, you're in the historic district. These are the guidelines that you're supposed to go by and whatnot. And I'm assuming if all these get passed, then all the homeowners and all the buildings will be informed and get new packets to kind of inform them on
So,
the change of regulations.
I think I sent it as an email, was attached as Exhibit A. Does everybody have a chance to look at it? Okay, so I didn't make copies of that because it's so much. But if you need to look at it, I can send you a copy of it.
And that would be amended language, or that would be language to amend
What's
in
that?
that packet?
It's actually, yeah, it's amending because right now we have just limited regulations. There's not much at all.
Okay.
And it's really kind of, from a legal standpoint, it's kind of vague, and I think it could be challenged. So we wanted to put some more definition about what's expected in the district. So, yeah, so it is an amendment to our zoning code. The text amendment.
So are there any questions, concerns about this? Is this language in this document here? No.
It was in the exhibit that was attached to,
Well, the way I set up the staff report was the first part, I gave it its own case number so that
Right.
it can be decided. So really, mainly what Jared is discussing is PZ 24003, the addition of the historic preservation guidelines. 004 is the text amendments to the zoning ordinance subdivision regulations and historic preservation related to the civil penalties. So that's kind of the first half, what we were just talking about. And I wanted to just kind of separate them out so they could be discussed separately.
Yeah.
So we'll just stick to 03 right now.
the process is we make this body will make a decision on this recommendation. It goes before the full city council, and if they want to follow your recommendation, they have to pass an ordinance that changes the actual text. A first reading and then a second reading, which would approve the text.
So it is going to be a split or a third?
What's that?
He asked if it was going to be a civil offense or what kind of a fee or
Yeah,
was
so-
associated with it.
That does, just like these other things that Kurt's going to talk about. Currently, our zoning code requires criminal penalties for violations, which we find cumbersome, and courts don't really like dealing with these things. They take a lot of time, and we found that our code enforcement board, which the state allows us to create in order to enforce our own ordinances, is a much better method of doing that. We have a code enforcement department. We have a building, and we have a department inspector that does part-time. We have a full-time code enforcement director, Cassie Patterson. She does a great job. She works with residents. She's, not draconian, and she does a good job. She generally gives notice when there's a problem, whether it's a zoning issue. She can't do with zoning now because it's criminal. It's not a civil penalty. The code enforcement board can only enforce civil penalties, not criminal penalties. That has to go through the court system, which is the state system. But the state legislature has allowed cities to enforce their own ordinances through a code enforcement board. We already do it with blight and with other ordinances. We have specifically outlining that this is a code enforcement civil fine and goes to the code enforcement board, but we haven't done it with zoning, and that's what he's going to talk a little about that as well. But in historic preservation, it's also going to make that a violation of civil offense. But generally what she does in the code enforcement board is she'll send a notice out when someone's doing something that violates it, telling them they need to fix it. They ignore it. And the next thing is a citation. And the citation can be assessed $50 to $100 a day until they comply. But there's a cutoff of $5,000. So that's the maximum you can be assessed under the code enforcement board. And you can appeal it. If you disagree with that decision, you have the right to appeal to the board. You come and present evidence. They have a hearing, then they make a decision, and they can either uphold the fine or reverse and say that they agree with the property owner and that the fine is not appropriate.
Is the code enforcement board a Dayton entity?
It is a Dayton entity. It's created by the board members are appointed by the city council,
Okay.
and they all have to be residents of the city, and they meet in this building here on an as-needed basis. So,
Case by case.
case by case. They haven't met for a while either. So generally, most of these things get resolved at the staff level, but people do occasionally have appeal. They have that right to do so, and that's what the case is here.
The impression I get is that it encourages cooperation, right? Having more well-defined boundaries. So,
And under Kentucky law, if they don't respond to a citation within a certain period of time, deem that they have waived that right, and then they have a right for a certain period of time to appeal that. Yes, long answer to your question that civil fines would be imposed for violation of historic preservation guidelines.
What's the only reason like that? Because the county, or whatever, not doing anything.
And this is the model that's in Covington.
Yeah, we looked at both, but we've used both. Both are pretty extensive. Covington's probably even more extensive than Bellevue's regulations, but we borrowed some of those. We changed a few things that were probably more appropriate for us. Some cities require you approval of paint colors. We didn't go that route. What would you decide about paint colors?
No, they did keep that. So
I mean specific. I thought we went with
they have to be the historic
right.
palette. Well, it's not just Sherwin-Williams. It could be any paint company, but a historic palette. So there are several buildings where they'll give me a color and I can compare it. And if it's close enough, then that'll be sufficient or something like that. I mean, it's not a truly terrible process. I think for the most part, it's just to make sure that people don't paint a building lime green or something like that. But that is a tried and true process that the Board of Architectural Review has done for a long time where they've approved paint colors. I think people know to expect that. It is unique to Dayton. None of the other cities do that process, but it's something that we do here. And what was the other thing? The other change that was different from the other cities that off the top of my head was if you have an unpainted brick building, they will still allow you to paint it.
Actually, Bellevue doesn't. Bellevue does not. You can request it if the mortar and everything's in such disrepair.
Sure, if it's deteriorated,
had-
but here it
we've
would
had
be the
requests,
same. You
yeah.
could do it
Yeah.
anytime you wanted,
But they still
essentially.
have to get approval for painting.
Sure.
If this is accepted, is this going to throw a lot of people into a violation, like immediately, or are they grandfathered?
No,
No, it's essentially the exact same regulations that we use now. They're just not written down in black and white. So this is just transposing all of those rules that they've had for a long time and actually putting it to paper so people can have it and see it.
and if they, like that, it's grandfathered in. And this is when they want to come in and want to put a storefront on, or if they want to change the color of the paint, and they have to go through that process. Any exterior, it doesn't do anything to the interior, but it's only for exterior on the property.
The only major rule change that wasn't used previously that is in this document is people who have chain link fences in their front yards. Usually the board has a like for like rule, meaning if you have a front door that's not historic or you already have vinyl windows in your home, you can replace it with vinyl windows. You don't have to go back to wood windows or something like that. So they call it for the like for like. So vinyl for vinyl or something like that. So they did change it to where if you currently have chain link fence in your front yard, you cannot come back with chain link fence again. So it's to kind of pull back from the historic district and not permit people to use chain link
But they
fences
can
any
continue
longer.
to have an existing chain link fence.
Yeah, they can keep the fence that they have
When they
now.
put a new fence in there, it can't.
But if they want to rip that out and put a new fence in, they cannot put a chain link fence back.
Okay, in the backyard, but in the front yard. Okay.
Correct. Only the front yard.
This is more of an increased awareness and educational piece.
Absolutely.
So people could better
Absolutely.
identify,
Absolutely.
know
Absolutely.
the expectations, what the boundaries are in
Absolutely.
the historic area.
Mhm.
And I mean, is it fair to say, Jared, that from your exposure to this group in terms of the how's it gone? I mean, what have you been? What are the consistencies and observations you've made in terms of finding solution and compromise?
The observations that I have is that the current ordinance doesn't have any fees associated with it, or the enforcement portion of it is really lacking. So typically we'll catch people in the rears, meaning they've already started on the project, and then we discover it. Then we have to go through the process. If they've done something incorrectly, now they have to pay double essentially to buy something else or something, whatever. So we just want to get in the forefront to make sure people are aware of what the regulations are and that they do have to ask for permission for a lot of things.
Good. So they make a well-informed decision.
Yeah,
And more
and
importantly, saving money so they don't have to go back and redo something.
right, and it's and all the members of the board have either a real estate or a historic building background, so they have a lot of expertise and just kind of advice that they can give to certain people.
And they also have like consultant Margot Womeski, is that her name? She's a well-known corporate.
Margot Warminski.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's an advisor and has been in the region for years and years and years regarding historic buildings. So,
I think they've got pretty board.
yeah, no.
Any other questions, comments?
This is just,
First, items.
yeah, I guess this is.
Well, yeah, we've kind of been discussing.
Go short down the wrong.
Yeah, and then that's fine because it's all basically, I did separate it out so you could make two separate motions.
This is
One
file number
is-
PZ 2400.
Yeah, so just to give you, I'm just going to quickly go
Okay.
over the 004 essentially is adding the civil penalties to three different sections. They're similar ordinances, but it's going into 154, which is zoning, 155, which is subdivision regulations, you know, how to divide properties, and then 156, which is the historic preservation guidelines. So that's kind of the function of the text amendment request from the city. But other than that, I really think Jared and Jay have addressed most of it.
The only comment I would make is the section, particularly criminal, reality of the judges. It's the lowest priority in the city to find for building. It's just not a high priority. So they get lost in the system and all that. Civil, and within our city, I think that's much quicker, higher priority.
So when it comes to proposing a motion, are we to split 154 away from 155?
No, not necessarily. Unless you had some changes you wanted to make for them.
Right.
But I collected the civil penalty text amendments under one case number and then the historic ordinance under another case number. So I would think there should be two motions.
In each of those three chapters, 154, 155, 156, the civil penalty language is parrots the same in each one of those. So they're all it's exactly the same in terms of the language, in terms of the civil penalties that you'll see on there. So I think you want to do two motions, one on the historic preservation, and then the second one on the civil penalties of those three other categories.
I just had a question in regards to the maximum $5,000 fine. Is that a calendar year or is that a one-time max?
It's for that particular violation. So you could have that violation and it's maxed out, and then you come and do something else that violates, and that could be a second violation. That doesn't happen very often.
Right.
You get one $5,000 fine. You
I
usually
just
follow
know,
the
I don't know
rules.
if there was any incentive if it was, there may be a violation that's so severe that it's cheaper just to pay the citation as opposed to address the issue. I mean, it's kind of an extreme case.
I mean, it could be, but once you pay the fine, you would just get recited again. So
Okay.
it's not as if, oh, you've paid this fine and now we can ignore this issue. You still have the issue and you're still going to have to pay. So the city would just recite the property.
About the numbers, the actual amount, how were those included? Like what precedent, where, like who came up with $50 a day? I mean.
We
versus,
had a
say,
big discussion on city
125.
council about that
You know, so I'm
initially.
just curious, like how was that established?
Yeah, we had a big discussion in city council when we passed it. We changed the fines, I guess it's maybe 2 years ago when we were really ramping up code enforcement in the city. Initially, we had 10,000 as the fine. Some cities don't have any limit. They just let you go wherever. And so we had some discussion. The negotiation was 5,000 seemed like to the majority council would be a fair number. And that's how we got that.
Okay, so prior council 2 years ago
Yeah.
determined. Okay. How do we all feel about these? I mean, not that they could be changed, or could they be potentially changed? What do you all think? Or is everybody good with
The numbers seem fine.
it? Okay.
From the city staff perspective, we wanted to try to keep it consistent with what we have with building inspections and rental inspections. everything is basically the same. It's
Yeah.
50 to 100 and 5,000 is the cutoff. So that's why we recommend that still be here as well, zoning code.
Did council discuss during this 50, 100, 5,000 discussion? Did they weigh in on the recitation if you don't comply or don't cooperate?
I can't recall if that was any discussion regarding that or
Okay.
not. We've never had to do it yet, but usually once they've decided and they can potentially get a lien on their property, they clean it up and they fix it. And I can't recall if we've ever done it for a second time, at least in my time here.
Other questions? Do you have any more to offer?
No, I think we've explained it well enough. I can answer any further questions of anybody else, but I think Jared and Jay, a little contribution, I think we've got it. Hopefully everybody understands what we're asking. We can have two motions, one for the historic ordinance and then the second one for the civil penalty amendments to the three sections of the code of ordinances.
I make a motion we adopt final number 11.
Second that.
And voice vote, all approved, say aye. Anyone vote no? It's unanimous.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept file under the nation receipt fee. Ordinance to civil penalties, PC-24-20214.
I'll second that.
And a vote to approve, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
A vote to not approve. Unanimous.
Kirk, you have anything else or you finished?
Nope, I do not.
So there was some discussion about doing training for, a couple of years ago, we did a joint training.
did
with
here.
Bellevue.
Um,
Is there any discussion that?
we haven't, but I can maybe start floating dates around.
Yeah, I think that was pretty effective.
Maybe what I can do is if I don't have any applications for this board next month, I'll see what's going on with
Yeah.
Bellevue to see if we might want
I know
to sit in on a training session.
we have a new member,
I would.
Sasha.
What's that?
I said I would. For Board of Adjustments, I have to have hours.
Oh, definitely. Okay. Well, then we can get the BOA.
We would knock them both out. And then we did Bellevue and Dayton again. I think that would be the best way to do it.
I know NKU is having a training right now, but it costs $100 or something like that.
Really.
I would prefer to do it just in-house.
Well, there is the APA Cincinnati conference, which is next Friday, and that's all day. You can knock out like 8 hours of credit for that one.
Is that the one out on the east side?
They're having it at NKU this year. It kind of
Oh.
It kind of rotates. Yeah, it used
Okay.
to be in Anderson, then it was
Yeah.
downtown, but this year it's going to be at NKU. So, and commission members can go. I don't know how they pay for it. The city does it. Maybe for every market. So there's that. Jared, I think I can get you a free pass to a historic preservation webinar. That's probably an hour and a half credit too.
Okay.
Since you're doing that in Dayton. But yeah, I can give you guys an hour credit for that one. So I'll take a look at the calendar and see if I can't get the city and the BOA folks here and the same thing with Bellevue together. And see
That'd be great. I appreciate that.
We'll stay at that. We'll look at the presentation. Is that okay, or,
Have you done them?
oh, yeah,
Oh, you know what? You can, normally the P and Z, give them to us before the next meeting and we'll run them through the agenda so we can approve credits. That's what we usually do. It's just like so-and-so did this, this and this. And I don't know if Nathan's been doing that. I don't remember if we've done that. But
How many are
why.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, sure what it is.
Everybody's different. Like I know with,
Typically, it's 4 per year, right?
yeah, or it's 4 every 2 years sometimes.
Yeah, I think
It's-
it's every 2 years.
I think
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
But if you're ever struggling to find that, we can give you something to read. We can give you videos.
Right.
You don't really have to
You could have
spend
a video
money.
night.
Well, and a lot of them are like on demand, like YouTube videos.
Like that, even
Like a lot of planning, state planning offices have a YouTube channel where you can sit down and pick out whatever you're interested in and watch an hour video. And usually they're taken from conferences, so you'll see somebody present something and then it'll be question and answer.
real estate. city, that call back.
I don't know.
We'll find.
They can find out. I don't know if the real estate ones cross over, but I'll work on getting a meeting for everybody.
In my experience here, we've never had a formal approving of exterior training.
Training?
Yeah, in the past, we would send an email or a note to Jay or equivalent for
Michael.
Well, if you want to
Michael.
continue doing, I don't know if there's anything in the bylaws that requires that. It's just some of the boards that I work for, we do bring it up as approval of training, and it's one of the things that we do after the agenda.
for other members. I went to NKU for a Robert's Rules session, because that's still right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you find folks required to be the fearless leader here in the future, that kind of training. And it was free. NKU.
We think you fill in just fine when Chuck's not here.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm a bullpen guy. You know? So, should we be alerted to any additional business to be ready for, just as a touchstone of that?
There are a couple of things that are brewing on Manhattan Harbor, but they've not been finalized yet.
Okay.
We've been thinking that since December that something was going to come up, not yet. So,
Okay.
the site plan was approved already for the apartment down the other end. That's almost finished. You've probably seen if you've gone by there. So we're waiting on a couple other projects for, I guess, approvals from you all, but I haven't heard anything from Cindy lately.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask her, because I know in talking to Cindy, there have been, she has made some changes to quote unquote harbor zoning bylaws, et cetera. And I was just curious as to when that was going to come into us so that we can look at it, et cetera, because there's a lot of stuff going on down there that I personally don't think should be the way it's going.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. So what kind of changes did she make?
It's to the Manhattan Harbor, what is it?
Oh, it's the book,
Like
the
the design book?
The
design book.
Yeah,
Oh, the pattern book.
pattern book, that's the correct one.
pattern
Yes.
book. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know she.
I know there were some variances that were given, but I don't know there were any changes. But that would be interesting. I mean,
Yeah, I do think there was a variance to the pattern book a couple
Yeah.
months ago.
but I don't
But
think
Cindy
pattern
did
book
that one.
itself
I
had
didn't
changed.
work on
So, was that approved by council?
No, that's
it. No, it was a
approved by
variance.
there's a
It was just
board.
Board of Adjustment case. It didn't go to city council.
That's correct, just a variance.
You're
Yeah,
gonna be on
that's-
that board now.
Yeah, I'm ahead of the HOA.
Yeah,
So we finally got that up and running, 100%. Office was elected, et cetera. We elected our dues to get the stuff taken care of, et cetera. So we're moving forward in that direction. We've got a few issues to develop, but other than that, we're doing good on that. But that's why I was wondering when I was going to get some help.
Well, I'll talk to Cindy tomorrow morning and see where that stands. That's kind of been her baby. I haven't really been messing with that one.
Maybe that's nothing that we should even be thinking of on this board at this point in time.
Well, maybe, but you might have been anticipating something, and I'll find out.
but how it works is if they're in compliance with the pattern book, then they have to signs off on it. So if they want to vary from what the pattern book allows, they have to before, you are now on, I'm on, Mayor's on, and the developers. So, but we haven't had one of those hearings. I think it needs to be pretty,
Yeah, when they started the building.
that might have been,
That was the last.
I think that was it, yeah.
But I know she was making several changes that she gave me a couple of them, and some of them would be very beneficial to try to enforce that.
Yeah, that probably should actually be approved that by, I think reviews and approved by, I'm not gonna look at how that's done, but this board probably, or major changes that should be probably put it forward.
That was my expectation.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Okay. That's what I think. That's look at the rules of the, that are in there, but I think
That's the way it should be. And I was very surprised to see the changes being implemented. Maybe not yet approved, but without us knowing.
Yeah.
That-
I don't know about either. So all I know is there's been a variance.
Okay. Kirk will find out.
Maybe she's considering it in the first place. You know, they gotta look, they can be paid.
No, I think it's
On
just
their
an
own.
enforcement.
Anything else from anybody? Do we have a wrap?
Good, I don't have anything else.
Motion to adjourn?
Make this adjourn.
I'll second.
There we go. Put a bow on
Second
it.
and third.
We have.
Jared, thank you for your help.
Thank you, Jared.